do you feel that what's happening, or rather not happening in Syria now, reflects an absence of American leadership, and are you comfortable with that?
Well, I'm not comfortable with what's happening in Syria. I'm very concerned with what's happening in Syria, and not to journalists only, but to Syrians. This was a long time coming, a long time building. Lots of bad policy by lots of countries, Russia prominent among them, over the years toward the Assad dictatorship. Even the ambivalent Israeli attitude of, oh, it's good to have the Assads that keep their promises, et cetera. The whole Iran Hezbollah conduit that goes on up there. It took a long time to get here. It's going to take a long time to fix, as we're seeing in Egypt and Libya now. The United States, for whatever reason, is not asserting the leadership role it could in the Middle East. It's ambivalent. It was ambivalent about the Arab Spring. It's got three national interests. How could it not be? It needs soft landings from authoritarian regimes. It needs stability in a volatile area. It needs oil flows. It's concerned about its alliance with Israel. Sometimes you put those together, you get paralysis. It takes intelligence. Well, at the end of the day, there's no technocratic answer to those questions. There are political choices that have to be made among multiple real and legitimate interests. The way democracy makes political choices is to talk about them. We don't talk about these choices. That's the habit of the emergency state. We don't talk about these choices. I think if we start talking about it, we'll do better. I think that Obama's lead from behind, which he was so proud of in Libya, was comic. I mean, comic. I think that what was right about it, coming off the experience of Afghanistan, was if our European partners, and I always stress in editorial that we say European partners, not NATO partners, because Canada was doing its share. If our European partners in NATO are going to free ride, the American people are not going to stand for NATO and spending our defense resources there. We need to restructure an incentive situation so that Europe will do more. At the same time, Europe cannot call into being the equipment it would have from the defense budgets it didn't pass over the last 5 years. We had the unique capacity to knock out Libyan air defenses. We used it. We were comfortable using that. We also had the virtually unique capacity to have accurate tank buster planes, A-10 Warthogs. We had them. The others didn't have them. For not having them, they were shooting from 40,000 feet, and it was often friendly fire. They were often hitting the insurgents. Friendly fire is inevitable in war. That's why war should be a last resort. It's messy and everything else. The Americans had capacity. The mandate of the UN was to reduce civilian casualties. The Americans had the capacity to carry that out better, which for whatever reason we were shy about using, for either inducing more from NATO or for the sort of general squirreliness of a situation where we fought for a resolution which didn't say what it meant, which was to defeat Gaddafi, which was the only way to produce civilians. So I think, it was inexperienced. What I loved about Libya is that it waited for the Arab League vote. It crossed all the bridges that we failed to cross in Iraq in 2003. And in that way, it's a good template. But Libya is going to be geopolitically easier than Syria anytime. You can't do Syria like you do Libya, but the better you do the Libyas, the more practice you have at the kind of debate and decision making you need for the Syrias.